This has always interested me. Why does life fail? Why do we suddenly experience that kind of inner slippage, like putting your foot through ice? That feeling that life is suddenly totally meaningless. This is what I experienced all the time in these panic attacks, which Larry mentioned earlier. Now, it seems to me that in a sense we know the answer to that. You've let your inner self get low. And so there's a hollow inside you where there should be something solid. In The Outsider, I quoted Holly Granville Barker, a British playwright, who wrote a play called The Secret Life. And he said that this is the basic answer to what drives people. There's a secret life deep inside them. And he said, look at all these people who seem to you totally stupid, totally meaningless, and yet they seem to live with a terrific zest. He said, seek for their strength, which is not to be borrowed or bargained for. It always springs from the secret life. This life of the unconscious, if you like. Now, my early books were all about this question of the sudden flash of the secret life and how we can induce it in ourselves. It's something in our mind which I call the robot. We've all got a kind of robot inside us which does things automatically for us. So you learn to type or you learn to drive a car or something painfully, slowly, step by step, and then the robot takes it over and does it 10 times as fast as you could. And what's more, if you try to interfere with the robot once it's doing it, you screw him up. You know, which side of your car is the accelerator on? As I ask you probably can't remember, but your foot knows. That's because you pass it on to the robot. Now, the only trouble with the robot is that he not only does the things that you want him to do, like driving your car and talking French and that kind of thing, he also does the things you don't want him to do. For example, you listen to a record of a symphony that moves you deeply. The 10th time you listen to it, it's the robot listening instead of you. I've seldom even caught him making love to my wife. Now, the robot keeps taking you over. He's like a thermostat on the wall. When your energy sinks to a certain point, the robot switches on quite automatically like a thermostat. And when the robot switches on, your energies are much lower than they should be. The real problem is, you see, when you drive your car, you charge the battery automatically as you drive. And when you do something with happiness and conviction, you charge your vital batteries as you live. When you switch to the robot, somehow it's not connected to your vital batteries and you don't get any charge. So when you're living mostly robotically, this is the real problem. Your vital batteries are not being recharged, and that's the answer to that question I just asked. Why does life fail? Because we tend to live too much on the robot. This is the basic problem. Now, I was fascinated by all this stuff of Maslow's because it suddenly seemed to me the answer to all kinds of things. And I said to Maslow, these peak experiences you speak about fascinate me because my first book, The Outsider, was all about people in the 19th century who had wonderful peak experiences. Van Gogh, for example, painted a painting called The Starry Night, in which the whole sky explodes into enormous walls of sheer vitality, in which the stars look like enormous lamps in the sky and the trees look like surges of flames. And then Van Gogh committed suicide, leaving behind a note saying, "Misery will never end." And whenever I look at The Starry Night, I think, which is true, the suicide note or the Starry Night? Now that's the basic question of existentialism.